In the last video, we looked at ways of finding evidence of an association or correlation between two variables, things like the correlation coefficient and confidence intervals. However, what does that mean and what kind of conclusions can we draw? And here's where the most important limitation arises. Just because you find correlation does not mean you have causation. There's a huge difference between the two, and inferring causation requires a lot more than just correlation. To be clear, if there is causation, if there's a linear impact, it'll be a correlation. Otherwise, there is an association, but it is not true vice versa. And when you happen to have correlation with no causation, that's called spurious correlation. Actually, there's other reasons that may occur too. For example, you could have a common cause. A may not cause B, but there may be a third cause, C, that's causing both A and B to happen at the same time. But when there's no reason at all for any relationship to be there despite correlation, it's spurious. And so the website down there, which I'll put into our Canvas shell, I'll put the link into Canvas, shows some very funny examples of spurious correlation. So let's visit the website and take a look. This website, Spurious Correlation, shows a bunch of random correlations that are definitely involve no causation whatsoever. So here's one. U.S. spending on science, space, and technology, that's in the red, and in the black, suicides by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation. That's pretty dark. But look how closely aligned those data points are, right, each year. Just because they're aligned doesn't mean that one is causing the other. Right? Here's one of my personal favorites. Number of people who drowned by falling in a pool, that's in red. Films Nick Cage appeared in, that's in black. That looks pretty, those two curves look pretty close to one another. So you might think that there's there's something going on, and maybe they're correlated. Definitely not causation. Nick Cage movies don't make me want to drown by falling into a pool. Now, hanging, strangulation, and suffocation, I can't speak to that, but certainly not drowning. All right, let's look at one more. Per cheese consumption, that's the red line, and it's correlated with number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets. So I don't see a connection. So anyhow, the purpose of all this is just to be careful in how you describe correlations when you find them, because it doesn't mean one thing is causing the other. Often, if you want to deal with causation, it's more helpful to do the opposite, to prove a lack of causation by showing there's a lack of correlation. Because if you have causation, you'll need some correlation or some association, but not the other way around, and that's critical. In the final video from this section, we'll look at one more example from the beginning.